Congressman Bruce Westerman is here with us. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us while you're visiting in town. So this week, a big decision by the U.S. Supreme Court overturning affirmative action that greatly helped Black and Latino students. What is your reaction to their ruling?
I'm really not surprised about the ruling. I believe this stemmed from a case out of Harvard University where you're actually seeing the discrimination against Asian and white students on the way they admitted students into the university. So, you know, at the end of the day, it should be based on your qualifications and your merits, and I'm really not surprised that they made this decision, Lena.
What about the U.S. Supreme Court decision on Alabama's congressional maps violating the Voting Rights Act? Were you surprised by that?
No, and this could also affect Louisiana. So we expect to see congressional districts redrawn in Alabama, potentially in Louisiana as well. So, you know, I think the Supreme Court's doing a good job. That's not the outcome I would have wanted to see. We could potentially lose a Republican member in Alabama or Louisiana, but the court looked at the evidence and they made that decision.
Now, how vital is it to hold on to every single seat ahead of the 2024 election?
Well, we've only got a 5-seat majority right now.
Right.
And a lot of those seats that Republicans won, where we actually picked up members, was in California and New York, in congressional districts that President Biden carried in the last election. It'll be a whole new playing field with the presidential election on the table. A lot more voters will turn out to vote. So we've got to have a good strategy going into the election. And the main thing I think we can do as Republicans is to put good policies forward to the country, show the country we can lead, and let us get reelected on our merits, not on whatever campaign commercials are popular at the time during the election.
Well, let's talk about the 2024 elections. We have so many candidates on the Republican ticket right now, on the Republican side. There are indictments, there are criminal investigations. What is your reaction to the elections? Is everything just getting muddied up?
Well, it's kind of who knows where it's going right now. If you look at the polls, on the Democrat side, it's going to be President Biden. On the Republican side, it's going to be President Trump, you know, a rematch of the last presidential election. But it's a long time until the primaries happen, and we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But, you know, I'm excited to see so many quality candidates on the Republican side. I think there's any number of candidates that could beat Joe Biden in a head-to-head race. And I don't know how it's going to play out. It's hard to figure this one out this far ahead.
Well, right now there's so much attention on former President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Does anyone else have a chance in the Republican Party?
I mean, if you look at current polling, the answer would be no, but it's still early on, and this could break either way. It could break like a landslide for President Trump. Ron DeSantis could slide in, and then somebody that we're not even talking about as much right now, they maybe do well in Iowa, do well in New Hampshire or South Carolina, and you see them kind of move up in the polls. So there are a lot of quality people running, and a long time until that decision gets made on who the actual Republican nominee will be.
All right, Congressman Bruce Westerman from District 4. We'll be right back in just 2 more minutes to continue this conversation on the Record. We're back to continue our conversation with Congressman Bruce Westerman back in town. And Congressman, tell me a little bit about what you've been doing this week while you've been visiting your district.
I've been meeting with constituents all across my district. Actually was up in Northwest Arkansas speaking to the National Business Aviation Association. The governor and I spoke at an event at Crystal Bridges. What a fantastic facility. There are people from all over the country here just admiring the beauty of Arkansas and the great facilities. Back in the 4th District, I've been meeting with constituents on infrastructure projects, meeting with them on particular concerns that they have. It's always good to get out of D.C. and come home, sit down with constituents and hear what's happening in what I call the real world.
So what are some of those infrastructure problems? Because our area is growing so rapidly. We hear infrastructure is always the problem.
Yeah, so I had a meeting down in El Dorado, and there's a proposed Interstate 69 that would go from the ports down in Texas, Houston and Galveston area, all the way up to the Great Lakes and Detroit area. a large portion of that comes right through South Arkansas. We had a meeting talking about that. This project's been in planning for decades, and it's going to still take a long time to get it done, but the Arkansas Highway Department is making some gradual progression on that. Also Highway 82, US 82 that goes from Texarkana to the Greenville Bridge. A lot of work being done on that to make it 4-lane. And there's been a lot of update in the infrastructure in South Arkansas with 4 lanes going from El Dorado down to Monroe and up to Little Rock. But when you get closer to Northwest Arkansas, Interstate 49, this is a huge connector from New Orleans all the way to Kansas City, where you've got 2 interstates going north on up to Canada. And the 4th District of Arkansas is going to be the last segment of that interstate to get built. You know, I was a student at the University of Arkansas before Interstate 49 went to Fort Smith. And I can tell you traveling up Highway 71, Old 71 with all the trucks, it was a dangerous road. There's even a sign that said, you know, 10 people killed in the last 3 years, don't you be next. We've seen the great development in Interstate 49 and how that's benefited Northwest Arkansas, and it'd be so good to get that tied on in down to Texarkana and have that major transportation corridor all the way up to Kansas City and to Canada eventually.
Congressman, a big headline from Washington, D.C. is also President Joe Biden's $3 billion plan to fight homelessness. What is your opinion on his plan?
Well, you know, the #1 way to fight homelessness is to get people working, give people jobs. President Reagan said the best social welfare program ever invented was a job. We need to get back to that work ethic. There's plenty of jobs available. We have a very low unemployment rate. The problem is we've got a low labor participation rate. So we've got to get more people back into the job market, get them employed, get our economy growing. But then there's also people who are homeless. We've got homeless veterans. We've got people who have mental instability that are homeless, and really sad cases out there. And I think it's you know, our duty to help those people. It's not just the duty of the government. We're talking about communities and churches and you know, everybody trying to pitch in and help people who are truly in need. But we also can't be creating more dependence on the federal government with people who are able-bodied, working age, and should be in the job market.
All right, Congressman Bruce Westerman from District 4, thank you so much for joining us here in studio.